Eric Adams, the Democratic mayor of New York City, has now been indicted on multiple counts of bribery and fraud and corruption. And the state of New York has been reeling from one scandal after another in recent months. I've got Ring of Fire's Farron Cousins with me to talk about that. Farron, what is your take? I mean, my God, it's become like Sodom and Gomorrah up there. It's like the old Tammany Hall days is what it reminds me of.
Yeah,
I mean, when you read about Tammany Hall.
There must be something in the water up there in New York with all of these politicians that we have just seen. You know, just a couple weeks ago, we sat here talking about the scandal at the governor's office where one of Kathy Hochul's top aides was found to be an unregistered foreign agent for China. And now the big one, right? Eric Adams, indicted on multiple counts. You've got all this huge laundry list of countries that he was allegedly, according to the indictment, taking bribes from, taking trips from, over $100,000 in luxury trips all over the globe.
Yeah.
And in return, all he had to do was say, hey, Turkey, you want a bigger consulate? Yeah, we'll approve this multi-story mansion for you to build right here in New York. It is classic corruption, hands down. I mean, and he got caught. And this investigation, though, 5 years in the making, they have been looking into this guy.
Which brings me to a question. Okay, yeah, first of all, yeah, you're right. He's been to Turkey, India, China, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Hungary. He's been worldwide. For what? He's the mayor of friggin' New York City. It's not like he's going to change anything in the world. But so the point is, it's not just his office. Obviously, the school system, the school system. There's being investigated for bribery on contracts to build schools and to work in schools.
3 different individuals on that one, I think.
Yeah,
right?
and then the police department. So you got the top cop in New York. Well, his twin brother is running payment scams, protection scams. He's shaking down nightclubs. He is the top cop. That's his brother. And it's been going on a long time. Here's my point to that. All of this has been going on a long time, okay? So all of a sudden, he comes out and he says, look, this has been going on a long time. I haven't done anything, but y'all investigating stuff's been going on a long time. Why now? Why are you bringing it up now? And of course, his position is it's because he came out and he said, look, Biden, your immigration policy was ridiculous. You're killing New York. The crime in New York is out of control. We don't have anywhere to put these immigrants. You've made no plans for that. You simply shipped them here, and now we have to deal with it. Well, those are pretty strong words. Biden responded almost the next day, said that's mischaracterization. Then the next thing you know, there's this investigation going on. All of this has been going on for 5 years, okay? So he says, if you go back and look at this, these allegations go back 5 or 6 years. Why now? What do you think?
Well, I don't think that, you know, this guy obviously was investigated because of his immigration stances.
Right.
Especially when you look at the timeline of it, too, because if it goes back 5 years, well, Biden wasn't the president.
Right.
You know, we had Donald Trump in there with his DOJ. And I do think at this point he is looking for any kind of deflection, distraction. Don't look at what I did. You know, he's also out there saying, oh, all of this was totally reported. These were perfectly legal gifts that I received. But no, none of them were reported. I mean, that's a verifiable lie that he is telling there. So his credibility, I think, at this point on any issue has been shot to hell.
Oh, I'd have to agree with that. I'd have to agree with it.
But he is trying to push this narrative, trying to say I'm the victim because of my policies,
right.
Because maybe it plays well in New York. I mean, it took forever for Santos to even get expelled from Congress. And, you know, what we see with Kathy Hochul, hugely unpopular.
Talk about that. It's just another story.
We've got so many of these politicians, most of them, unfortunately, Democrats at this point in New York, but they're all trying to tell the same story. It's not because I'm a bad person or I hired bad people. It's they're coming after me because I was going against them. It's the same excuse we've heard from Matt Gaetz
yeah,
about his investigation. They're coming after me because they want to come after you.
Hochul,
the aide that was working
had
with China.
Actually with espionage with China.
Yeah.
The other one, what was he, fraud? What was he caught doing? It was just,
oh goodness.
It was one thing.
There's so many, it's so hard to keep track of.
Well, right now, just on this story, we know there are 5 major investigations going on. Okay, 5. Everything from the school system to the police system to the mayor's mansion. But here's his new thing. In case you hadn't caught it, his new thing is, look, this is a war between blacks and migrants. Have you caught that?
I haven't seen that.
Oh yeah, this immigration thing you've done to us, President Biden, has put all of my people out of work. They're out of work, and now immigrants are moving in to take those jobs. He's using that whole thing we talk about from time to time, and that is the Chamber of Commerce brings in all these immigrants. They work for nothing. You cut off a leg, so bad, ship them back to Nicaragua. Well, his point is that's what you've done to New York. And my constituents, the people who vote for me, are angry about it. And he's been making speeches with black clergy and folks that have a big big profile in the black community there. And he said, this is a war between what you've created, Biden. You've done this, and this is a disaster. I mean, now he doesn't have anything to lose. Now it's all on the table. He can go ahead and do whatever he wants to say because he's going to have to defend himself.
Yeah, and we're going to see, I think, what we're seeing now, more deflections. He's not going to own up to any of this. He's going to deny it till the end. And eventually, it will cost him his job.
He won't resign.
No, he says, I'm sticking in this. I've got more work to do. And it's work on behalf of who? Are you working on behalf of Sri Lanka? Are you working on behalf of Turkey? Or are you going to work on behalf of the people of New York? Because you can say all you want about, I'm working for my people. No, we've got the indictment here. We see who you're working for.
He's a hustler fraud.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what he is. He's a hustler fraud. And now he's using these deflections, as you put it, to say, I'm going to stay in office a little bit longer. I want people to think about this new problem that Biden has created for New York. And he's even going after the governor. She's part of the problem too.
Well, she's definitely part of some problems. I mean, that's undeniable here. But I think in general, really this corruption that we are seeing coming out of the state of New York is just absolutely unprecedented levels. And let's not forget, this goes back to Cuomo as well. Yeah. It's not like they were doing fine before Hochul and Adams took over.
What do you do about it? How do you change? If you think of, the history of Tammany Hall, well, it was, 30 years before they could move that off the center. This seems to be the same problem there. They've got an infrastructure of corruption. That's what they have. Yeah. When it's the schools, the police department, the regulatory agencies, the mayor's house, you got something that is absolutely built out around corruption. I don't know how you change that overnight.
I don't either.
Julian Assange is a free man after spending 5 years in prison and 7 years in a consulate in England. And during a recent hearing for the Council of Europe, Assange made it clear the only thing that he was guilty of was being a journalist. The only thing he was guilty of was writing as a journalist and performing as a journalist. And you know what? I agree with him.
I do too, and I think a lot of people have a lot of bad opinions of Julian Assange just because, of course, they were the ones who got the cables, the Podesta emails, and made them public. And sure, before that, though, it's such an interesting history of this guy. He was the hero of everyone on the left. Yeah. You couldn't turn on Free Speech TV without seeing...
we used to have a show on.
Exactly. Yeah. Without seeing Julian Assange on there. Everybody was talking about how great it is because he exposed the war machine, the killing machine of what we were doing in Iraq and Afghanistan, killing civilians, killing reporters.
He could run for president in the United States and been elected by a landslide from the left alone.
Exactly.
The left loved this guy.
Until
the Hillary Clinton incident.
June or July of 2016, he gets the emails and sends them out, and suddenly everybody on the left hates him, and now everybody on the right loves him. So it completely flip-flopped from how it was. But it doesn't matter if you love this guy or hate this guy. You can have your personal opinions, and they can be completely wrong. but he is doing what journalists are supposed to do. You don't have to like it, you don't have to agree with it, but you have to understand this is how all of the major stories, the biggest stories in this country, end up breaking. Watergate happened because of somebody leaking the information. Mark Felt.
Panama Papers.
Panama Papers, Pentagon Papers,
Right.
all of the, especially what he did, this is how it works. Because they're not going to tell you, they're going to keep it secret. Journalists can't dig into that until it gets hacked or leaked or whatever.
But you hear from the deep state, Americans are too stupid. They can't process this kind of information. When you tell them that the government's been spying on them, they can't process
They say,
that.
I've done nothing wrong.
When you learn that Iraq was all based on a lie by Dick Cheney.
Well, Saddam Hussein was bad.
Yeah, when you learn that there were no such thing as weapons of mass destruction. When you learn that we're in Afghanistan for reasons that he exposed that nobody even thought about. When you do that as a journalist, that should be a good thing, okay? It shouldn't be something where you serve 12 years of your life running just to stay alive. And that's what they did. There were times, I swear to God, I would see a picture of him in the embassy or wherever he was. I thought he was going to die. That's how bad this guy, that's what he's been through.
Yeah.
But, the 46 countries that at this meeting, that this assembly of human rights took place, said that he was absolutely a political prisoner. And it was driven by the NSA, the FBI, and the CIA. And interestingly enough, it all started when, as you say, he broke the law. He broke the law by making public those documents about the DNC and Hillary Clinton, right?
Right, and it's important to remember too, they got the documents. WikiLeaks got the documents, just like they got them in the with what they exposed in the Middle East. They didn't hack. They are not an organization that does that. They're not out there taking the material. They are basically a depository. Mm-hmm. If you have this information, put it here. Mm-hmm. We will then help you get it out and get it exposed. That's what WikiLeaks is. They're not actually the ones doing anything that could be considered illegal. They're just trying to expose it.
Yeah, when he was put in prison, it was a glorious day for Republican war hawks and blue dog Democrats who now rally around the weapons industry and rally around war and rally around everything that Democrats in the past have never stood for. I don't even recognize them. I call them blue dog Democrats. They may be more Democrats than that, but we expect that from Republicans. I've always expected that from war hawk Republicans.
Yeah.
But I've never really expected that from the Democrats, and that's the way that they've gone. Look, they went as far as creating false charges against him, rape. You remember that?
Yeah, in Sweden.
In Sweden, and all of a sudden the girl says, he didn't really do that.
Yeah.
He
didn't
really do that, but it was driven by the government that put this girl up to saying that he raped me. They even made a damn movie about it to vilify the guy. He raped me. And then at the end of the day, she said, he really didn't.
Because it was at that point I said, okay, maybe really this guy is a bad guy.
I thought so too.
Because that's what that does to change your opinion.
Yeah.
And it was all a scam.
It was a lie.
It was a scam.
It was a damn lie.
An international scam to make this guy look worse.